To kick things off with our Money Matters segment. Now, April marks Financial Literacy Month, and today we're featuring a really important conversation about the link between mental health and money. Experts believe that 4 in 7 Americans are financially illiterate, causing that cycle of stress and anxiety. Therapist Sierra Hillsman recently stopped by to shed some light on ways to develop healthy financial mindsets. Take a look. Sierra, I'm so happy to see you live and in person.
Thank you so much for having me.
And this is such an important topic. I want to make sure we dive right in. We've got a lot to cover. You know, sometimes we really struggle with sticking to that budget or maybe accomplishing these financial goals that we set. And then that can be so stressful. So how can we create really better financial wellness?
Yes. First, we have to ask ourselves, what are the beliefs that we grew up with when it came to our finances? We have to do that deep dive, ask these questions and realize, are these things that we've adopted over time,
right,
or are these things that we were able to acquire through our relationships with other people? Once we're able to do that deep dive, then we're able to understand, okay, what are some practical goals and tips that we can accomplish in relation to our mental health goals?
Yeah, and it's so funny you said that, starting young. And that's why I think it's so important that we get our kids financially educated, because we can create some bad habits when we are young kids that then can just continue to perpetuate. So we want to stop that, and we want to challenge negative ways of thinking when it comes to money. Let's say we didn't have good examples as parents, or we did get into some credit card debt in college or something. How do we challenge those thoughts?
Well, first, I always encourage clients to do the catch it, check it, change it model.
Ooh.
Catch that negative thought, then check the validity of that thought. How applicable is it in relation to this season of your life? How do we know whether or not this thing is coming within us or outside of us? Another thing to consider as well is change it to something that's more solution focused.
Right.
That way we're not putting that pressure on ourselves as well.
I like that. What was it again? Catch it,
check it, and change it.
And change it. Love that motto for a lot of things. All right, now let's talk about when it comes to understanding really how our decisions impact our overall mental health.
Yes. So when I think about financial wellness, oftentimes we realize, or maybe even forget, that our finances impact so many different areas of our life.
True.
Right? And so when we're thinking about the types of careers we're going to pursue, or maybe how long we're going to stay on that particular job, even if it's a detriment to our emotional wellness, those are things that show a reflection of how our finances impact our mental health. Another thing to consider too, sometimes with our finances, depending on our spending, our budgets and things of that nature, if we're not meeting those financial goals, that creates guilt, shame, regret. But on the flip side, if we find ourselves in financial security, we have increased confidence, we find ourselves having increased self-esteem, and we have decreased anxiety as well.
Oh my gosh, my husband always says, you know, when he is sleeping at night and sleeping well, it's because he knows he is saving for the future, and there's not that added stress. I know. He's a good influence on me, that's for sure. All right, so now let's dive into key ways of developing some of that healthy financial mindset. What do we need to know?
Yes, so like we talked about earlier, taking those larger goals and breaking those things down into micro tasks. If you find yourself struggling with personal finance, it's okay. We live in a digital era where everything is at our fingertips.
Right.
So whether it's through YouTube or finding a book through a library, find some type of influencer that you really enjoy and figure out what can you pick and apply to your actual daily living. And then once again, like we said, take those micro tasks so that you're not putting that pressure on yourself.
Yeah, and I really think when it comes to even just the daily habits, and we've talked about this before, of like a coffee or getting kids drive-through because they're nagging you after school, that all adds up.
Yes, it does.
And it's those micro decisions, like you said. Any other final thoughts to get us into that healthy mindset?
I always remind people that it is a journey like anything else. So take some time to do some digging, even when it comes to creating maybe even a genogram, or identifying or having those conversations with your parents or your elders to say, hey, what does financial wellness look like for our family back then? What does it look like for us now? How can we apply that moving forward?
Great advice. As always, it's so good to see you, and we so appreciate it.
Same. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Sierra. And for more tips and advice, you can find Sierra online at legacyspks.com.